In the sun-scorched earth of modern-day Lebanon, nestled within the ancient quarry of Baalbek, lies a profound paradox carved from solid rock. The colossal monoliths found here present us with two starkly different visions of the past. One suggests that ancient peoples, armed with only the simplest of means, possessed a will and ingenuity capable of shaping stone on a scale that defies belief. The other whispers of a lost chapter in human history, of advanced technologies that have since vanished without a trace. And here the narrative fractures. For how could the Romans, the designated architects of this wonder, have ever intended to move objects weighing well over 1,000 tons? This single question drives a wedge deep into the bedrock of conventional history. Where established theories of wooden rollers and sheer manpower begin to splinter under the immense weight of the evidence, an alternative perspective emerges. Its proponents argue that a single, fleeting glance at the megaliths of Baalbek is enough to understand that the history written in our textbooks is an incomplete story. 3 ancient record holders lie in this re among the largest single-piece monoliths ever worked by human hands. Most famous is the Hajar al-Hibla, the stone of the pregnant woman. Its existence has been known for centuries, documented as early as the 16th century by the knight Martin Baumgartner. We have long understood its titanic proportions, over 20 meters in length, reaching more than 5 meters in width and 4 meters in height. Based on its density, experts calculate its weight at approximately 1,000 tons. Yet it is not the largest. In the 1990s, an even more massive sibling was identified, tipping the scales at an estimated 1,240 tons. Then, in 2014, the Earth yielded another secret, a third monolith, the largest of all, estimated at a mind-altering 1,650 tons. They remain unnamed, silent challengers to our perception of antiquity. What was their purpose? Who commanded the immense labor to sever these impossibly large masses from the Earth, and to what end? The official consensus points to the Romans. The quarry sits just 900 meters from the grand temple complexes of Baalbek, masterpieces of Roman monumental architecture built between the 1st and 3rd centuries. Historians propose the monoliths were destined to form the foundations of another colossal sanctuary. But a distance of 900 meters, seemingly trivial on a map, becomes an impassable gulf when the cargo is a stone leviathan. The sheer physics of the problem are overwhelming. These stones were not moved. They were abandoned, left tethered to the bedrock from which they were born. They stand not as monuments to ancient achievement, but as silent testaments to an ambition that overreached the limits of a known world, forcing us to question what forces and what knowledge were truly at play in the shadows of the past. A weight exceeding 1,000 tons, a single monolithic block of stone hewn from the earth by human hands. The question it poses is as immense as its mass. How did the Roman engineers of Baalbek ever intend to move such a gargantuan burden from its quarry to its final destination? The simple and deeply unsettling answer is that we do not know. In the complete absence of any surviving historical record, any definitive blueprint or manual, experts are cast adrift into a sea of conjecture and theory. For any hypothesis to hold water, it must be grounded in the plausible mechanics of the ancient world. Yet it is here, in the practical details, that the silence from the past is most profound. The specialized texts of the era offer no clarity, stating only that the intended purpose and transport of the largest stones remain an enigma. The often proposed solutions, vast arrays of wooden rollers or colossal sledges dragged by legions of men and beasts, seem to buckle under the sheer physics of the problem. One can almost hear the splintering of timber, see the great stones sinking into the soft Levantine earth, swallowed by the very ground they were meant to traverse. They would have shattered. They would have submerged. These conventional methods, it seems, reach their absolute limit when faced with a challenge of this magnitude. And yet, we know that antiquity was no stranger to the movement of immense objects. We know that seemingly impossible feats were accomplished without the aid of some lost advanced technology. Researchers often point to a more recent yet telling parallel: the relocation of the obelisk that now stands in St. Peter's Square. In the year 1586, it took the combined might of 900 workers, 150 horses, and 47 powerful, groaning winches to raise and reposition that single granite monument. But even this monumental achievement pales in comparison to the riddle of Baalbek. The pink granite obelisk of Rome weighs a mere 320 tons. The heaviest of the monoliths left abandoned in the Baalbek quarry are heavier by more than 1,300 tons. Perhaps this staggering difference in scale offers the simplest explanation: that the stones remain in the quarry precisely because they could never leave it. A moment of humbling realization when Roman engineers, in the midst of their architectural megalomania, were forced to concede that they had finally overreached. An ambition so grand it collapsed under its own impossible weight, leaving their work unfinished. It is a logical, almost comforting conclusion, but it is unsettled by a small, yet profoundly significant complication. To find it, we must turn our gaze from the silent quarry to the temple complex itself, for it is here that we find irrefutable proof that the Romans did, in fact, succeed. They did transport monoliths of an almost incomprehensible scale and seamlessly integrate them into their most sacred structures. We must look to the enigmatic blocks of the Temple of Jupiter. A great god demanded a great temple. In the Roman pantheon, no deity stood higher than Jupiter Optimus Maximus. It is only fitting, then, that his sanctuary at Baalbek would reflect this supreme divine status. The result was a sanctuary of breathtaking proportions, a temple stretching nearly 290 meters in length, its roof soaring 20 meters into the sky, held aloft by 54 colossal columns. It was a structure designed to humble any mortal who stood before it, to evoke a sense of profound and reverent awe. But for all its grandeur, the temple's most enduring mystery lies not in its soaring colonnades, but in the foundation upon which it stands. A gigantic podium that, to this day, fuels the most audacious speculation. It is formed in part by what is known as the Trilithon, 3 titanic blocks of hewn stone, believed to be the largest building blocks ever successfully quarried, moved, and set in place in the history of the world. By expert estimation, each of these colossal stones weighs approximately 800 tons. They are a testament to an engineering prowess that defies our modern understanding, a silent challenge to our perception of the past. As we stand before them, we are forced to confront the unnerving possibility that the greatest secrets of the ancient world were not written on papyrus, but were carved, and lifted in stone. Beneath the Roman grandeur of Baalbek, a profound architectural mystery is locked in stone. Here lies the Trilithon, a trinity of megalithic blocks forming part of the podium for the Temple of Jupiter. But this is no simple foundation. The Trilithon itself does not rest upon the earth. Instead, it is perched atop a course of additional foundation stones, each a colossus weighing an estimated 350 tons. The scale of this endeavor, attributed to Roman engineers of the 1st century, borders on the unfathomable. The narrative we are given is one of almost superhuman effort. Men would have had to quarry blocks weighing 800 tons from the bedrock, a task of immense difficulty in itself. Then, they would have needed to transport these terrestrial giants several hundred meters to the temple site. Finally, in an act of supreme engineering, they would have manipulated and lifted them into their final resting place, fitting them together with a precision so absolute, a razor's edge could not find purchase between them. How was this feat accomplished? When one observes photographs of the platform and the nearby quarry monoliths, the human figures standing before them are rensed, superior technology that enabled the Romans to complete these architectural wonders. Yet, surprisingly, even proponents of alternative history largely dismiss this notion. Their argument is not one of advanced Roman engineering, but of inheritance. They do not point to a combination of forgotten pulleys, ropes, and sheer muscular force. Instead, they point to a far more radical theory: that the Romans were not the master builders of this foundation, but merely its beneficiaries. The true work, they claim, belongs to a lost civilization. One ancient legend tells us that Romulus initiated the construction of the Temple of Jupiter to thank the gods for a great victory on the battlefield. But another, more persistent whisper from the past suggests the legendary co-founder of Rome had no part in the creation of the original complex. It posits a simple, staggering reason. The megalithic platform was already ancient by the time the first Roman legions arrived in Baalbek. In this version of history, the Romans did not lay the first stone. They simply built their own sacred world upon a foundation that had long preceded them. It is a bold proposition, but it is not without compelling arguments. First, there is the confounding silence of the historical record. There is not a single contemporary Roman source that details when or how the Temple of Jupiter's foundation was constructed, nor who commissioned such a monumental undertaking. For a project of this magnitude, an effort that would have dwarfed almost any other in the empire, the lack of a single chronicle is deeply perplexing. What we hold as fact is, in reality, an established assumption, not a proven truth. Furthermore, the complex itself tells a fractured story. It is a curious mosaic of construction methods. In some areas, we see a sea of smaller, recognizably Roman blocks, meticulously placed. In others, the eye is drawn to these titanic megaliths that seem to belong to a different age, a different philosophy of building. A unified design would look different. Indeed, some components are so unusual in their form and placement that they suggest they were repurposed from a far older and perhaps entirely different structure. And then there is the question of location. Baalbek is situated more than 2,000 kilometers from the heart of the empire. Why would Rome expend such unprecedented effort to build its greatest stone marvels so far from its center of power? The heaviest single stone quarried and erected within Rome itself is a marvel, the Column of Trajan, a tribute to an emperor's glory. Yet it is a mere fraction of the weight of a single Trilithon block. The stones of Baalbek do not offer easy answers. They challenge our linear perception of history. They stand as a silent, unyielding testament to the possibility that our timeline of human achievement is incomplete, that beneath the history we know lies another, far older story waiting to be unearthed. To place the scale of Baalbek in perspective, one must first look to Rome. The column of Trajan, a towering testament to imperial grandeur, weighs a mere 53 tons in its entirety. By stark contrast, the individual blocks of Baalbek's legendary Trilithon are each more than 15 times that mass. A single stone dwarfs one of the empire's most revered monuments. This profound discrepancy is not an anomaly. When we examine Rome's most magnificative from a near-infinite combination of smaller, manageable blocks, the Roman genius was in logistics and repetition, not in wrestling with singular monoliths, each weighing as much as 7 or 8 great whales. This evidence points toward a conclusion now accepted even in the most conservative academic circles. The Romans were not the first to build at Baalbek. Archaeological inquiry has peeled back the layers of time, revealing a history of human settlement in the region stretching back at least 11,000 years. The story of this site did not begin in the 1st century. For a hypothetical predecessor civilization, this vast expanse of time was more than sufficient to quarry and lay the impossible foundations upon which the later Roman temples would stand. Yet, attributing the work to an unknown culture does not solve the fundamental enigma. The questions remain, haunting and profound. How did people of a distant past create these gargantuan monoliths? And by what forgotten mechanics did they transport and install them? The mystery simply shifts from one civilization to another, deeper into the mists of time. The debate surrounding the true origins of such ancient structures will not cease. They are not meant to. For these silent, colossal stones serve a greater purpose. They are a permanent reminder of how much of our ancestors' story remains unwritten, a testament to the humbling depths of what we have yet to learn. They are not simply windows into the past, but mirrors reflecting the very limits of our present understanding.